Hey everyone, how's it going? Once again, this is grade followed by a number. And it's up to you to guess which one. Anyway, the music in the background is by the Flying Lizards, Money. Classic new wave song, remember that? Anyway, I don't even know if you can hear it. Okay, so I'm back to do a video for each year of my life. A movie for each year of my life, and now I'm up to the year 1957, right? So if by any chance you watched my video for 1955, and I can't imagine why you would, but if you did, I talked about how that seemed to be the year that Hollywood discovered the teenager, right? They realized that teenagers were a big box office, so they started making films for and about teenagers. And that trend continued as the 50s went on. And one of the biggest years for that was 1957. And a lot of those films that were made about teenagers were not made by the big studios like MGM, who had made Blackboard Jungle, and Warner Brothers, who had done Rebel Without a Cause. They were made by some of the, what some people would call Poverty Row studios, or just the ones that had a little bit less prestige and a lot less money. And probably the biggest studio for that kind of thing, and all those exploitational films about teenagers, was American International. AIP, American International Pictures. They discovered a gold mine. They decided to combine teenage rebellion and teenage angst with horror and science fiction, and it was wonderful, perfect combination. So the first one they did was a film called I Was a Teenage Werewolf, right? I Was a Teenage Werewolf. Here's the back of it. I also have this on video cassette. I just thought it was so cool I never got rid of it. I like the cover. Okay. By the way, this has never been put out on a commercial DVD release. This is kind of a bootleg thing, but I'm very happy to have it. Hopefully someday they'll have a really good, considerate release of this movie. Anyway, this stars a young, starving actor just starting out on his way up, named Michael Landon, who of course became famous later on for Bonanza on TV. Really a cool actor, and he's very, very good in this movie. There's a young kid named Tony who is filled with anger and mistrust of authority figures, and he gets in so many fights that the people at the school send him to a psychiatrist, right, who's supposed to be helping him with his anger. Well, a psychiatrist, played by an actor named Whit Bissell, I'm not making that up, Whit Bissell, is really a mad scientist type who has this bizarre idea that if he can take the human race and make them regress back into their most basic and pristine form, that they will stop threatening to destroy the world, right? Because they're becoming so angry and so aggressive. So anyway, that's what he decides to experiment with this kid who was so filled with anger. He starts using hypnosis to take him back farther and farther into his what he considers to be his original form. So of course, it makes perfect sense. He turns the kid into a werewolf, right? It looks almost like the guy from The Werewolf of London. The makeup is actually pretty cool. Here's another close-up picture of what the makeup looked like. I think it's pretty cool. So the film is deadly serious. I mean, it's not done for camp effect. There are no tongues in cheek at all. Michael Landon gives a very straightforward and earnest performance. The Mad Doctor is very well played, and it's a good film. And that's kind of how it all got started. And the themes and all the other progressive films were pretty much the same. Adults were the real monsters in the films, because they were turning the kids into monsters. That's what happened in a film that came out later in the year called I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, which I only have on video cassette, and I'd like to find some way to get this on DVD. There are some bootleg copies available. And this was put out in November of 1957 on a double bill with another teenage monster movie called Blood of Dracula. Okay? Blood of Dracula, which is on this DVD double bill with another movie from American International called How to Make a Monster, which came out the year after, 1958. And so it was interesting that the American International kind of redid Frankenstein, the werewolf, and the vampire at the same time that the Hammer Studios in England were doing the very same thing, but in a much more big budget, colorful, more serious and traditional way, right? They were remaking the old Universal films in a modern way with using color and a lot of blood and a lot of sexual imagery. These films were done in black and white, and they were just done for exploitation effect to attract teenagers to come to the theaters. And it worked. They were all wonderful. Teenage Frankenstein kind of followed the same pattern as Teenage Werewolf. This time the monster was played by a young actor named Gary Conway, who also went on to be kind of a very successful TV actor in series like Burke's Law and Land of the Giants. And this film, and once again, I think I told you that Whit Bissell was once again the Mad Doctor in this film as well. So he kind of cornered the market on Mad Doctors in American international films for a while. And in Blood of Dracula, this is kind of interesting for two reasons. Number one, Dracula nor his blood make an appearance in the film. Okay, so in fact the name Dracula is never mentioned in the movie at all. I think it might have been mentioned by one character, maybe in one scene, but there is no character called Dracula. And also the Mad Doctor in this movie is a woman, and the person who was turned into a monster is a young girl. So they took it and they gave it kind of a gender reassignment thing. And this film is also very seriously done. The Mad Doctor is played by an actress named Louise Lewis, who incidentally played the high school principal in I Was a Teenage Werewolf. And she's very good, very convincing. And the actress who plays the vampire is named Sandra Harrison. I'll show you a picture of her as she looked when she transformed into a vampire. Hope you can see that. She grew a hairline down to here, eyebrows like Mr. Spock, and here you go. Take a look at those Spock eyebrows. Is that cool or what? And she had a tight sweater and a tight skirt like all teenage girls. So her fangs were down to here, her breasts were out to here. It's wonderful. But it's just, I don't know. They did it all for easy money, low budget, exploitation effects, and it worked. And I think to this day I love these films, and I just appreciate them on some very strange and basic level. I just can't help myself. But anyway, so okay, so I guess that's all I want to say about these movies. So that's my year, 1957, and I'm giving you fair warning that I will be back for 1958. Okay, thanks for watching.